Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be talking about one of the craziest Dota builds I've ever seen. And it might be one of the most broken Dota builds I have ever seen. This is some crazy stuff. We're going to be following Topson's Witch Doctor. And if you don't know what they changed to Witch Doctor, basically, in the most recent patch 7.36, they gave him 3 facets. One of the facets makes your Voodoo Restoration turn into Voodoo Festeration, and it deals damage, and it has an increased radius. It has a nasty radius of 850, and always has since the beginning of the patch. However, this is good now because you get 50% of the 60 as healing. So you get 30 healing per second at max level. Previously, the Festeration just wasn't good enough. It didn't make you sustainable, and so it just wasn't strong enough to be viable. Now it is broken. I'm not kidding. It is insane. We're going to be looking at Witch Doctor Lina, which is arguably one of Witch Doctor's worst possible laning matchups in any lane. Reason being is the hero has only 2 armor, and a very mediocre 550 attack range. Witch Doctor is inherently pretty bad at trading if you don't count his spells. However, with Voodoo Festeration in the laning stage, you can turn it on to deal 30 damage per second and 15 heal per second at level 1. Let's take a look at this. On top of that, go sign up to the Game Loop website, guys. I'm posting new content over there almost every day, and I'll see you there. In the laning stage, basically you wait till you take damage before you turn it on. Don't turn it on right away. That's just a waste of mana. You want to get the double value. You want to get the heal, and you want to get the damage at the same time. So you can notice in this first wave, he's doing literally nothing. Witch Doctor, in fact, is pretty bad in terms of last hitting in the early waves. It is the weakness of the hero. It doesn't have any creep secure with this build, but what it does do is put pressure. You'll notice that while he has the heal on, it is shockingly hitting the Lina. And people just don't realize they're getting hit because, I mean, the radius is just insane. He hits level 2 here, stun comes out, and gets a little lucky that the bounce, maybe it wasn't even in range of the melee creep, but the bounce comes back to the Lina. With a couple of auto attacks, he's able to bait her in, and he gets a kill. I mean, insane, right? Like, and you could be like, oh, we got First Blood. Yes, the First Blood gave him a little bit of XP. Maybe that let him hit level 2 early there. But the point is that this spell early on is insane. That is a Lina. Guys, this is one of the worst matchups for Witch Doctor. If you tried to play Witch Doctor mid into a Lina pre this change, you would get annihilated. You would get annihilated by any decent Lina. So naturally, the build from there is going to be a point in the W. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of think that his concept of maxing Q is a bit suspect, and I'll get into that in a bit. I actually think Maledict might be better. The argument for taking stun is it can set up for your ulti, but he skips the ulti at level 6, and it's like okay for farming, it's okay for control, right? But my problem is without the facet Headhunter, which increases the damage per bounce, it doesn't really do a lot of damage. It's a pretty underwhelming ability for farming and for fighting. At least in terms of damage, it's okay for control if you find the right bounces, which that's also very difficult. So I personally think that maybe Topson has the wrong idea here. I think that maxing the E may be better because it also has a lot of synergy. If you're able to connect the Maledict with the damage over time from the W, you will annihilate the opponent. Okay, continuing on with the laning stage here. So basically you want to get as many bottle charges as possible. And once again, this is one of the worst possible matchups, and he's going to go on to dominate the lane. By the way, he bought a Null Talisman. The hero has quite a bit of mana problems. This W costs a lot of mana, and as you skill it up, it costs even more mana. But you can put a lot of pressure, and if you're against a melee hero or a low pressure range hero, you will dumpster the lane. Like, I really wish that this game was just an absolute stomp, so you could see how this hero, this facet works in your average matchup. I think the only other matchup that comes to mind that could be like really terrible is something like Shadow Feed. Other than that, it's just gonna look like this, where you're just running them down. Like, literally, you just run people down. Now, you could clearly tell that the Q, if you get the right bounces, is incredible for getting kills in the laning stage. And the higher natural cast range of Cask over Maledict is definitely what makes it potentially better. But he did this to me in my game as well. So the reason why I looked into making this video is because I played a pub. I was against Topson, I had to play mid. And I picked Nature's Prophet mid, and he picked Witch Doctor mid. And not gonna lie, Nature's Prophet mid is like okay against Witch Doctor mid, I think, because I can win the early last hits, but then it was just unplayable. It was unplayable. He was just running under my tier 2, and you can't fight him. Like, it is unplayable. He forces a TP from the Nyx, just continuing the run down the Lina. You can see it hits from some nasty range, and what is that? What is this? This is like insane. Almost kills the Nyx. If he had a little bit more mana, you would have gotten him. Ends up dying to the Nyx, which is definitely a mistake. You don't want to feed that much XP and gold away to a support, but point being is, I mean, you could see how crazy this timing is. And he's going to skip ulti, which I kind of get it. Like the Q, it really scales well. But I don't know. Okay, this was unfortunate. Lina had a shield rune. I'm not going to lie. I think you should skill the ult, guys. It still does a lot of damage. Sure, it makes you stop and not be able to track them down with Voodoo Festoration. But still, it's been nerfed like 8 times in a row. But 60 damage is still a lot in the early game. You're getting this at minute 5, 6, 6:30 if it's a bad game. I think it's worth it. So from there, something I will admit is that you should buy raindrops. He doesn't buy raindrops this game, and I think it's a mistake because the only way you get countered on this hero is if you get bursted. And that actually has happened, which is why he has 3 deaths now. So like this game did slow down a bit and he got outplayed a little for sure. However, with raindrops, it kind of helps out a bit. Now, you could tell this hero has slot issues. It primarily has slot issues because of its innate gris, where when you get a neutral item, you need to move the gris into your inventory and you can't put it in your backpack. So you do have slot issues, and I think that's why maybe he just doesn't want to buy all these small items. It's just not worth it. On top of that, he's probably getting annoyed. But these are, if you need to farm, you should 90% of the time just go fight. Go dive the safe laner, dive the mid laner. But the game got a little bit hard. Things kind of went in not a great way. Once again, partially because Lina is like not a good matchup for this hero. But as he almost finds the Nyx here. Wow, this Nyx is level 7. Sheesh. But yeah, if you need to farm these 2 camps, you drag them together and you can farm them at the same time. It's actually very efficient. It's kind of funny that his Tiny is like stealing it from him. You'd think people would give Topson a little bit of respect, considering he's won 2 TIs, but... So from there, he spends a lot of time jungling this game. I think once again, it's because he doesn't feel too comfortable against like Nyx Assassin, Shadow Fiend, Chaos Knight, Lina. They have a lot of early game burst damage, but if they don't, if the enemy team, let's say they have like some underfarmed Riki, they have a Bounty Hunter, they have like Rubik with no good spell steal. They have like some Faceless Void or Slark carry that's not dealing damage. One of these types of drafts, you can just kind of run around and do whatever you want. All right, we're going to see the big fight of the game here. He does eventually skill ulti at level 10. You would think maybe 200 health is good, and it is good, but the other talent, which decreases the mana cost in Voodoo Restoration, is just too important because you want to have this on at all times, and it really does cost a lot of mana. You know, it adds up, so it helps. It decreases the mana cost per second by 5. So fight breaks out, drops a death ward, gets stunned by Lina. Good play from Lina. But whatever, they kill the Sand King anyway. From there, he's got to kite a little bit, gets hit by Laguna, just kiting, but the Venomancer Noxious Plague on his team is really spreading. It keeps them all controlled. Classic Venomancer ulti with the facet, just so broken. And they're able to clean up the fight. He's full HP the entire time, and you can see just dealing so much damage. You're not going to really burst anyone. That's not what the hero does, unless you're ultiing them. But you're going to chip everyone down and just kill everyone slowly. That's how it goes. One thing to keep in mind, though, is you can't heal your teammates, and that is the way that this is balanced. If it healed as well, it would be the most broken thing in the game by far. So in terms of items, he does something pretty crazy. Now, I'm not going to say I disagree. I think the Bloodstone is really cool and probably good. Maybe it's the best possible item build because it gives you a lot of health, a lot of mana, Spell Ice Steal, which obviously works on the W, works on Maledict, works on Stun, and increases the radius of your W even further, right? So this thing becomes huge, 925 radius now because of this Bloodstone. So I totally see the line. I definitely get it. I will admit, I think his way is like, it's a very heavy scaling variant. I think there are other builds such as going like an early Pavis. I haven't fully thought through all the potential builds, but even something like Kaiasange, which could be better early on because you can buy like Belt of Strength, it could be better. I think probably my favorite variant that comes to mind to me is something I used to do back in the day when I played Core Witch Doctor, which was Pavis. I wouldn't even upgrade to Solar, but it gives you armor, it gives you a mana pool, and it gives you HP. And this hero really needs it. You can see at this point in the game, 6 armor is pitiful. When you're next to a Shadow Fiend and you get reduced by Chaos Knight as well, you can see in this clip here, he gets annihilated by, you know, largely magic damage from SF, but also some physical. And so that's something to keep in mind. If you want to be more of an early game variant, I would recommend casual Pavis and then going into Bloodstone. It just gets you that over that early game hump where your hero can get bursted because you're not completing a real item for a while. So from there, he completely doubles down on this build, which is pretty funny, queuing up a Radiance, which does get amped by Bloodstone, the AoE of Radiance. It gives you obviously physical resist, so this is his way of getting armor, essentially, right? Dealing with physical damage. I will say, you know, there's definitely an idea with Eternal Shroud, even though that item has been nerfed again in patch 7.36b. It is still good, and definitely is an option on this hero, especially if you're dying to magic damage. Like this game, I can totally see it as his next item. He's going to cube Kaiasange, going for the Spell Amp and the HP pool, which makes a ton of sense. I would have said that the best build is maybe Eternal Shroud into, Eternal Shroud into Kaiasange. Obviously, he's opting for something different. I'm surprised he didn't pop his Bloodstone here. Oh my god. He's gonna chase this. I was gonna say you could probably ulti. Oh, so close. At level 15, he takes Maledict AoE. The cast bounces is very good, but it's not nearly as good with without the Headhunter talent. And honestly, Maledict AoE is pretty insane, especially with Bloodstone AoE increase as well. Like, look at this Maledict. This thing is huge. Usually the problem with Maledicts is it's kind of hard to hit, and it's really hard to hit multiple heroes, but he only got the SF with that one, but that is massive. That shit is massive, which I get a lot. IRL, obviously, but... All right, and for his next item, he's going to pick up... Well, let's talk about the talent quickly. You're going to take Maledict Burst Damage. This is one of Dota's best talents. It's actually insane. The fact that people take Deathward attack range is so disgusting because it makes the lost health burst damage go from 40 to 70. I mean, this ability does some insane damage, and it can't be dispelled. Like, especially with this, like, radius nonsense that he's doing with the 15 talent and the Bloodstone. I mean, you have to take Maledict Burst Damage. It's, like, not a question. It is not a question. It is insane. And at level 25, you're probably taking 2% target max health Voodoo Restoration damage, which is obviously insane as well. It's just going to make this Festoration deal some nasty damage. And I will admit, he keeps getting blown up late game. I personally think it's like an item build flaw. We'll go back quickly here. I definitely think that Kaya Sange is kind of like, it's unnecessary. Yes, Spell Amp is obviously wonderful, 12% Spell Amp. But in terms of survivability, that's all it gives you because, well, 16 strength, it's like, okay, obviously that number is all right. But the slow resistance is practically useless in a game like this. And that's it. You know, you're getting strength and slow resist. Where something like Eternal Shroud into Shiva's, which he's buying now for armor, to me is better because you do just want to stay alive. Like, the fact, I mean, he can die to CK. Obviously, in this clip, he's like mostly dying to CK. The minus armor is a very real problem this game. The Eternal Shroud absolutely would not save him from this. And maybe the real solution to this is actually him picking up the Shard. The Shard is one of the best in the game because it allows you to dodge spells. And in a game like this, he could dodge SF ulti if he sees it coming. Maybe against Bloodthorn it's a little bit tough against the CK because that guy can obviously could silence you. But like, keep in mind the Shard, guys. It's really good for buying time. And I believe you still heal from Voodoo Restoration when in the ground. So it's like a fantastic pairing for just buying time, healing up, and dealing damage all at the same time. Especially when you have like Radiance and this W going. I'm really shocked he didn't put any priority on his Shard. It actually seems kind of bizarre. And after a grueling back and forth, he's eventually going to connect a Maledict onto the Sand King. And you'll see that the Sand King, even if he was to get out, he is mega dead. And also the SF was affected by Maledict as well. So it just gets pretty insane what this hero can do strictly with Maledict in the late game. You're not that tanky, I will admit, because the heal is kind of underwhelming. And he just keeps dying. Like, I don't know, there's something off here. Maybe just buy a Ghost Scepter, because like he just keeps dying to burst physical damage. Maybe the Shivas is like not even the answer. Obviously it's so much armor, but it's like not enough against SFCK. Probably even needs like a Rattle Cage. Maybe he didn't get one of the evasion items or something like that, but just getting bursted by physical is something you gotta be wary of. All right, and eventually he finds his way to a BKB, and this hero farms so fast, especially when you get the target max health damage, you farm and you deal even more damage with the W. But eventually he's able to pick up this BKB and the Shard. And you're going to notice it's going to make a big difference here, which is why, once again, maybe the Kaya Sange not the answer. Maybe just a BKB is the safest route at the end of the day. Because here, he actually waits for the BKB to come off the courier, dodges the Lina stun with the Shard, so avoids getting bursted in that moment, gets gone on, or CK thinks about going on him. Obviously, he picks up the BKB here, and now CK can't turn, right? There's no stun potential, walks down the Nyx Assassin as well. So much damage in some crazy AoE. And yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like, this hero's scaling is just better than ever. Its laning is better than ever. Its early game fighting, I would argue, better than ever, right? I really think that this build is just broken. I even think there's a lot he could optimize. And when he figures it out, I actually think if this doesn't get nerfed, it will be like one of Thompson's staple builds because it's not a meme. This is like not a meme. There's no way it's a meme. It's just too strong. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, smack the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the Game Leap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.